Good afternoon, all my lovely YouTube people. I am Miranda Pitrone, and I'm back here with you to do another video. I have a bunch of other videos, so if you like this one, when you get to the end, you can go and subscribe and click the bell, and you'll get notified anytime I'll put out a new video. Alright, so that being said, let's get started with today's project. I have this lovely Santorini-like stone. It's got mica in it, like just shiny. I love these stones. And these are from Capcouriers. They sell them on Amazon. They're a wonderful company, and I absolutely love working with them. They have a great variety of other stones as well. I really love their speckled stones, and so those are fun, nice little round stones. And they also have white stones like these. These are some of my favorite stones. They do have other ones though, so you should check them out because you might find something else that fits your fancy. All right, so with this stone today, it is about 4.5 inches by, well, let's say 3.5. Just so you have an idea of the size of the design that I'm going to be creating today. And I'm feeling this dreary weather again, so I'm gonna go with some kind of colorful flower mandala, I think, and we'll just start off with that. All right, no more chit chat. We're starting it out here. No, just kidding. I'm going to start with this awesome ebony black for my center, which I know is a little, I guess, not traditional for mandalas, but on the white stone, I just think that darker and bright colors are really going to be an awesome contrast for us. So I'm going to go there. Now, ordinarily on a stone that's not round, or a canvas that's a perfect shape, I like to find my center so that I can center the mandala in the piece that I'm working on. But on the ones that are odd shaped, you can kind of just arbitrarily start where you would like your center. But since this one has kind of a regular shape, we'll just kind of go for a little center here so we can kind of center it on the stone. It does have this protruding part here, but I'm not even going to worry about that. So I'm going to treat this kind of like a canvas where you just kind of go corner to corner and give it a little etch in here. So this one too, like if you cut it off here, this would be my other corner. So I'm just really kind of winging it as far as an estimation for the center on this one. Most times I just tend to eyeball it, to be honest, just to see where I want it on the stone. But that is a decent spot there. So I'm gonna use my Princeton angle spot detailer for a lot of the video on this one, but you guys can use your dotting tools if you have the dotting styluses or other dotting tools as well, and you will be able to create this design, I'm sure. So I'm just gonna do my center dot here on my X with the black. Okay, next I'm gonna use Royal Fuchsia. And if you're using dotting tools, you want to go with your super smallest one for this. Because I'm going to do around the black dot with the Royal Fuchsia. So just to kind of create a little bit of symmetry, I'm going above and below, and I'm making a plus sign here. So that's 4 dots down. And then in between here, I'm debating whether or not I can fit 3 dots or 2 for my design size, because I don't want them to bleed into one another. So I'm going to put one dead center in the both in between these. And then once those are dry later, I'll probably go back and put some smaller ones in between. But that's the Royal Fuchsia. Okay, and back to the black, We're going to do some small dots in between our royal fuchsia here. Not directly down in between. You're going to go up above a little bit and then in between. I get a lot of comments about my turntable and other items that I use in my videos, so if you guys are checking to see where you can get them as well, I will post links in the video descriptions for you so you can find them too. But this turntable's great. I love it. It makes my life a lot easier because I need it in front of me. For some reason, just the way my brain works, I need it in front of me most of the time just to make sure that I'm placing it where I want to. Okay, next I'm using purple petal. And again, it would still be a small sized dotting tool. And in between the two blacks above the fuchsia, I'm putting a purple petal. Now for those of you who are super detail oriented and observant, you can see that the cool thing about using brushes is you don't have to re-dip it often in your palette with the color that you're using. Alright, so now I'm going to grab this purple pizzazz, which I think is going to show up pretty nice on this white stone. And we're going to go over the black dots that we already put down. So the thing about these is you just have to be a little more cautious because we don't have a painted background. And that way, if you make a mistake on a painted background, it's easy to just kind of paint over it with the background color, but kind of winging it here without a background is living dangerously. Alrighty. So this is from a different line of paints. It's their multi-surface line at Deco Art, but it's still the Americana, the Pink Tropics. Man, this color is excellent when it dries and you varnish it. It's so delicious and rich for a pink. So I'm going to go a little bit larger, so you should be upping your dotting tool size here. And we're going to go above our purple pizzazz. And I really like to overload my paintbrushes. That's how it gets to be a little thicker of a dot. You get kind of a dome on it. And the Deco Art paints are awesome most of the time, just right out of the bottle. You don't have to thin it or anything, but if you're using heavy-bodied acrylics, you're going to have to use a flow medium to kind of get good dots. Alright, so I got this next part going and realized I wasn't recording, but I'm just going to go with it here, so I'll just explain. I'm going to draw in some petals here, and I started drawing a petal and then I thought, well, I want them to kind of overlap. So one of the good things that we can kind of take advantage of is making our own stencil. It's very easy, and that way you'll have a uniform petal to use. So I made my own little petal stencil. It's about 1.5 inches long, and above each of these large tropical pinks, I'm just kind of overlapping the petal on the left side, and then I trace it, and then I move on to the next pink, overlap the petal over the one I sketched, and then move on. So just so you have an idea here on how I'm creating this next step on our flower mandala design. So I'm going to do that now. And I ordinarily do not like to use pencil. I didn't mention this earlier when I did my center, but these white stones, I have something called an etcher, and when I try to etch onto the surface of these stones, I can't make it work. So, and I also have a chalk pencil, but it's white chalk, and the white probably won't show up as well as I want it to. So those are items that are available to you to use for your projects, but for this one I think I'm just going to have to go for the pencil and then do the lines after. I can't talk and trace here at the same time. So, but you get the idea here of just going around, and then you get a uniform petal all the way around without having to use a big stencil. Oh, I want to make the petal go down here. And without having to, purchase any stencils, you can do a little piece like this on your own. And then just work your way around above all those little pinks. And so for my design, I wanted it a little bigger, so I want to overlap the stone on this side. We're going to see how that goes. But I see a lot of beautiful stones that it's kind of like a waterfall effect. Kind of the idea with people doing the paint pours, how they let it just go down over the edge. I'm going to try to dot down over the edge of this. So a lot of times too, I just kind of wing the design, so that way I'm coming up with what I want to try as I go. So for this, we'll just fold it over like that to trace. But if you have a design size for your stone that is the proper size, you can plan out that it's flat. I have moments where I just want to give myself a challenge, Also, they have products like stick tack and other things that you can put under your stencil to hold it in place. So that is one of my next purchases probably, since I've been doing more tutorials for y'all with the stencil. Like the last one, the lovely Lydia May sent one my way to check out. And I know Happy Dotting Company has some, so it's really probably a good investment for to purchase myself one of those. Hi, buddy. Alright, so I am just playing with some ideas here to just kind of change it up from the norm as well. I did the fold over petal already on another canvas, so I'm thinking we might just do some contrast and go a little more abstract here. So about 1/4 of an inch on your leaf on the right side. I'm just starting that as a starting point, and then it's kind of like an S-shaped curve. Follow the leaf petal line of this one. Does that make sense? So it's on the same path almost, just about 1/4 of an inch up on each petal, and then just kind of follow the curve, kind of. I guess if you pull the line in a little bit of an S shape down towards the dots down here. And this is a way too, you can see my spacing's off, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't give yourself a hard time if it's not exactly lined up, because it's almost never going to be like a machine did it. That's the beautiful thing about art. Just because I'm always trying to come up with different designs, I get kind of, I don't know, in a place where I need more variety, I guess. And so that's where I'm headed with this. So I think that section that we kind of cordoned off, I'm going to bring our black out into that. So I'm just going to grab a brush here and go over back to that black that we used from the center dot. And I'm just using a soft little liner brush so we can put in some fine detail here. And I'm not going to stress about here because I'm actually going to put a teal dot over this area. So as long as I get roughed in the area that I want, that, and we're going to paint right over our pencils so we don't have to erase, right? So you could just freehand this and paint it in, and it would make for a much more whimsical piece, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys the tools to do it on your own, roughly. It takes a little bit of practice with things that you create, and if you're creating the same thing over and over all the time, it really makes it a little bit easier. So definitely practice, but you got to give yourself a challenge here and there, right? Also, I hate erasing pencil on a piece. I'm killing a couple birds with one stone here. Not really. But this way too, I think it'll help to kind of delineate the petals as we go. Because I want to use like some nice greens in here, I think, and that way you're not blending in too much here with these ones so that you can't see where the other petal starts. I don't know, I'm just kind of winging it to see where it goes, to be honest. It just seemed like fun. But that's something I encourage you guys to do as well. Just kind of take time to be free and just go for it. Come up with a different design. Add different elements into your mandalas, and you never know where you're going to end up. So see some people doing some really fun diamond dots, squares, diamonds. Of course, we're doing the ovals, but it's fun to just go for a different look here. And like I said, don't worry about this bottom edge here because we're going to go over it with a big dot of kind of bluish teal, I think. I think that'll be a nice lead into our green petals. So this is one of the Arteza brushes. This one is the round, and they're in the mini brush set. But again, I'll put the links for you guys all down in the description so you can check them out for yourself if you want to try brushes. If you have dotting tools, oh, I didn't even think about that. Here I fibbed, I guess. I said you could probably do all this with dotting tools, but you probably can still do this section with dotting tools. The styluses are forgiving and don't leave brush marks. So you could take your dotting stylus. Let me see here. I'll test it out. We'll see. So it's kind of like you're doing swipes, and then follow the line that you traced. You're going to have to dip it a few times and possibly use multiple sizes, but yeah, you can still do it with the dotting tool. See? I should have tested it out before I said, oh yeah, you can do this whole design, but there you go with the dotting tool. So, whew, that makes me feel better. I don't want to lie, I'm trying to help you guys out and just have some fun here. So, these brushes are so soft, the bristles, they just kind of flow so nicely too. I really, really like them a lot. I'm super thankful Arteza sent me a set to check out. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. That's kind of awesome. I'm excited about that. Cool. We'll see where it takes us. Alright, so I'm going to grab this Coastal Waters now for our nice little dot that we're going to tuck right here. Alrighty, now we're going to grab this Jungle Green, which is another one of the multi-surface ones. And I think we're going to use that to kind of outline along our petal here. These colors that came out in 2019 are just so rich. I don't know what Decor started doing different. I love all their colors, but some of these ones are just tasty. If it wasn't paint, it's like you wanna taste it. When I was a kid, we used to go to the beach and get saltwater taffy. I think that's kind of what it reminds me of in my mind here. Alright, so remember this little one goes off the edge here because I just decided to be silly and add a challenge to myself here. Plus, I'd like to do something different on each stone, and this is a really nice stone. I'd like to try to use as much of it as I can with still being able to see parts of the beautiful white with the mica. Okay, so this part here again, I'm straying from the idea of dotting tools. Grab your dotting tools and you'd still be able to do it similar to we did the black part. So you'll dip it, put down your big dot, and drag it out along your petal. And that should work for you if you do not have brushes. Alright, so now we're going to incorporate some of this lavender frost. And we're going to do some large dots out here and where our petals meet one another. this purple pearl is so rich. The metallics are just fantastic. I absolutely love them. I'm just painting circles. There's no magic with the brush. For the bigger circles in the same size brush, you're just painting a circle. And you want to get a lot. I put a lot on my brush, just that way too you're getting kind of like a 3D dot. But you can put top dots on it too, and that will help extend the size and depth of your dot. Okay, so now we're going to switch to the citron green, and I think I'm going to line along the black here. So I just have a liner brush. We'll probably use a few different shades of green for this area. Maybe do some sideways swipes and then some dots down into it. Alright. So you're just gently following along the same line of the black that we started off with, and allowing that to be your guide. And just going to the edge of the leaf area there. And if you don't feel like you're steady, you can post your hand on your other hand or balance it on a wrist bench. There's wrist rests. That's not easy to say. Wrist rests out there. I've seen people using those too to steady their hand. So if you don't feel like you have a steady hand, you can still do this. I sometimes use my other hand as a post. Personally, I'm totally enamored by people who can paint on an upright canvas. I don't feel like I have enough strength in my arm or steadiness in my hand in that way. But it all depends on what you're comfortable with. So this citron green is really a great contrast with the black. Okay, now this is a multi-surface one, the apple green. So it's a little bit thicker, but we can still do the same thing. We're going to line along that citron green, follow the same path that we just did. This is just a hair darker and a little bit brighter. Okay, so you just kind of let it flow along the edge of that citron green. It's good when you can start from the center out because it allows you to use those inner portions as a guideline for yourself, and then you don't have to draw out a guideline. Okay, next is this gorgeous tropical blue. I really, really love how rich these colors are. And I think with this we will follow along the same line that we just created with the apple green. Go back and grab that coastal waters again. And I think just at the top of every single one of these, we're just going to do a small little comma stroke there, swipe. And with the brush, I'm just kind of pushing down a little bit harder at this part, and then just giving it kind of like a little flick to get the tail. So here I go. I wanted my challenge. Here we go on the edge here. Okay, now I'm gonna grab some festive green, and up where we just put those little swipes, I'm gonna start a line of dots here. I'm just doing a large one at the top, and we'll let them get a little fairly smaller, but I'm just going to the middle of our lines down below. Okay, on either side of that, I'm going to do some of this foliage green. And I'm just having the dots go straight down. On either side. Okay, we're going to go back to some of this apple green. To be honest, I wasn't sure myself how this was gonna look when I started doing it, but now that I see it, I'm kind of excited that it's turning out. But that's the thing about it. You just gotta try it, see where it goes. If you don't like it, don't do that design again. Or the color combination or whatever isn't working for you, then change it up the next time. It's one of the things when I was a kid, you're so much freer. You don't think about, oh, if I mess this up, I only have 3 other of these stones, or, you know, the other kind of stones, not these kind that you purchased. Then makes it a little bit easier when you find them on the beach. And then it's not as much of a detriment if you mess up or decide to not go with that stone. But for these ones, it's a little more anxiety ridden, but I still think it's coming out pretty nice. Let's go back to the tropical blue. We'll do a few more dots to tie that in down the side. Okay, we'll go back to that citron green. Okay, I'm going to use some of the multi-surface periwinkle now. And I'm going to do a top dot on this, but it's going to be off center. It's going to be towards the flower. Okay, I'm kind of feeling like this is asking for some coral. You feel it, right? Want some coral on this. So, what else? Indulge. I'm just using the size 4 spot brush from Arteza. Just happens to be what I grabbed, so, but it's about the 1mm dot stylus size for the size dots that I'm making. Just the smaller dotting tool. And let's top dot on that tropical pink that we did, I think. Okay, I think that black to me is looking a little too stark, just flat black there. So I think I'm gonna go take the coastal water and we'll just carry that with dots up through and see what that looks like. If we don't like it on that, we could always paint the black over again. So it's a minor risk to test it out. And I'm just pushing down harder to make the larger dots, and then as I work my way out to make the smaller dots, I'm just not putting as much pressure on the brush. Just for those of you who are interested in working with brushes. Sorry, somebody upstairs decided to do a little stomping dance. I was trying to figure out if it was an emergency or not. Now that we're looking for a home somewhere else and packing up, I'm in the basement, so it's a little bit noisier above sometimes, so I apologize. That came across on the video. And I think that this is exactly what my stark black section needed. Okay, now that I just did that, I think I'm going to go over the citron green with the tropical blue and see what that looks like, because I kind of like the really light blue on the black with the contrast. So let's test out the really dark tropical blue with the citron green. Need to pour a little bit more. This is a little bit tacky. These brushes are really good because they do go so tiny. Really small, like almost non-existent, just the most minuscule little tiny dot of color. I was speaking with a woman one time. She was telling me how she does doll painting, and she actually has a brush where she's ripped out all the filaments, the brush filaments, except for one or two, and that leaves her capable to do the tiny painting of the eyelashes on the little miniature dolls. Which I don't know how she sees it. It's so tiny. These are pretty tiny actually, but just wear some magnifying glasses when I get painting too much. But this, if you have a dotting tool or you have a toothpick or a mechanical pencil, something like that will give you the tiny dots, which usually I use my etcher. If I use the dotting tools, the etcher goes pretty small. Oh, I'm kind of liking this. Alright, now I'm going to go with some of this hydrangea around the coral that we did earlier. And as I do this, I'm looking at this and I'm debating whether or not I want to add another darker color to the leaf. I kind of like the openness of this, but I'm debating. Okay, I think I'm gonna toss some teeny tiny little pizzazz in here. The hydrangea is really pretty, but for some reason I'm feeling like it's too light. I'm just doing these in between the hydrangea dots that we just put down. Let's toss one down here too. Just kind of helps connect the purple to our flower a little bit more. And while we have this, I'm thinking in between the ones down here, I'll just do some smaller ones. Okay, so I feel like it is just missing one little thing, so I'm going to pull in some of this vintage brass or bronze or anything like that. I feel like we just need that little kick. So up top here, on either side of these guys. Now be careful with these because this one is the extreme sheen. And you can see that strand of paint that comes up. You don't want to flap it over on your piece. Yep, that's what I needed, was metallics. Obviously you can omit it if you guys don't want that on yours, but I'm excited that I have that as an option here. Just the tiniest little accent of it here, and then I think we'll put it on top, dotting our purples. And then this little guy will be done. I think the brass is just enough to give it a shine, but not overpower it too much for our design. Alright, so there you have a nice little mandala flower type design on one of the Santorini stones. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tonight. We used a lot of different colors, and I actually probably started this one in the morning now that I think about it. And it's night now, so I'm gonna let you all go. I hope you have a great night. And as always, you can find me all around online, but your one-stop shop to find me is MirandaPitroneArt.com. I am so psyched that we have a new video here to send out, and remember, there's going to be 2 versions, a fast and a real time. So if you want one or the other, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. Take care, guys.